A cold wind blew across Buenos Aires in late September 2025, carrying with it a strange, uneasy stillness that seemed to settle over the city like a heavy blanket. The air felt charged, as if everyone was waiting for something to happen, but no one dared to speak of it out loud. That wind brought with it a feeling of fear, a quiet anxiety that crept into daily life. People hurried home, glancing over their shoulders, their faces tense with worry. Even the laughter of children seemed quieter, as if the city itself was holding its breath. The city, usually full of life with tango and football, seemed to stop and hold its breath. The music that once spilled from open windows was gone, replaced by the distant hum of sirens and the echo of footsteps on empty streets. Argentina was on the edge, caught between its proud past and a future that looked dark and unsure. Memories of better days clashed with the growing sense that something precious was slipping away. Talk of danger, once far away, now threatened everyday life. Conversations in cafes turned to whispers about crime, and families locked their doors earlier each night, hoping to keep the darkness at bay. Drug gangs, once a problem in other countries, were building their power in the city's hidden corners. Their presence was felt in the shadows, in the nervous glances exchanged by neighbors, and in the growing number of police cars patrolling the streets. Their power grew as the government pulled back, and most Argentinians thought they were safe, until now. The sense of security that once defined Buenos Aires was fading, replaced by uncertainty and fear. This isn't just a story about crime, it's about a country forced to face a terrible new reality. The headlines were no longer about distant problems, they were about neighbors, friends, and family. In September, 3 young women, Brenda del Castillo, Morena Verde, and Lara Gutierrez, would become symbols of lost innocence. Their faces would soon be known across the nation, their stories echoing in every home. Before the news stories and protests, they were just friends with dreams, trying to make their way in a world with few chances. They shared laughter, hopes, and the simple joys of youth, never imagining how quickly everything could change. Their lives showed how strong young people can be, even when things aren't fair. They stood together, supporting each other through challenges, believing that their future could still be bright. They looked for happiness and a better future, not knowing their stories were about to come together in a tragedy. The city around them seemed full of promise, even as danger crept closer. The quiet was about to be broken. In the stillness before dawn, a single moment would change everything, shattering the illusion of safety. And Argentina would never be the same. The storm was coming, and its impact would be felt for generations. The trap was set with a simple promise: easy money for going to a party. It sounded harmless, even exciting. Who wouldn't want to earn a quick $300 just for showing up and having a good time? The message was casual, the offer tempting, and the risk seemed invisible. For Brenda, Morena, and Lara, $300 each was a way to get by. It was more than just pocket money. It was a chance to help their families, pay for school supplies, or simply enjoy a rare night out without worrying about expenses. The promise of easy cash was a lifeline in tough times. The invitation, which seemed like a simple get-together, played on their hopes and their need to get away. For a moment, it felt like a break from daily struggles, a chance to dress up, laugh, and forget their worries. They trusted the sender, never imagining what was really waiting for them. On Friday, September 19th, they went to a house on the edge of the city, not knowing the danger they were in. The neighborhood was quiet. The house looked ordinary, and nothing seemed out of place. But beneath the surface, something sinister was unfolding. The party was a carefully made lie, bait for a cruel criminal group. The lights inside hid the truth, masking the real intentions of those who waited. As night came, their families grew worried. Calls weren't answered, messages weren't read. The girls had disappeared. Hours passed, and the silence became unbearable. Panic spread. Worried calls, desperate posts on social media, and finally, police reports. Friends and relatives searched for any clue, clinging to hope as the hours dragged on. But it was already too late. The night stretched on, and the city seemed to hold its breath. The house was not a place for fun, but a place for terrible violence. Behind closed doors, the truth was far more horrifying than anyone could have guessed. Instead of music, there was fear. The laughter and excitement from earlier had vanished, replaced by dread and confusion. The 3 friends had walked right into the hands of suspected drug dealers. Their trust had been betrayed in the worst possible way. They were not guests, but prisoners. The reality of their situation began to sink in as the hours ticked by. The reason they were taken was not for money or fun, but something much darker. They were caught in a web of violence and revenge. A score was being settled in the harsh world of drug dealing. The girls had become pawns in a dangerous game, their fate now tied to forces far beyond their control. The search for Brenda, Morena, and Laura ended in horror. Days later, police found their bodies buried in shallow graves at the house. The discovery sent shockwaves through the country. Hope was gone, replaced by sadness and anger. The crime scene showed planned cruelty. This was not a random act. The way it was done and how the bodies were hidden pointed to organized, purposeful violence. Even experienced police officers were shaken. This was a message, not just a killing. Security Minister Javier Alonso confirmed the sad findings. This was a planned act of revenge. The drug dealers wanted to send a message, using the girls to spread fear. News spread quickly, their faces now symbols of a national trauma. For their families, the confirmation was a terrible blow. Brenda's mother, her voice shaking but strong, demanded justice. Her words became a call to action. Argentina was forced to face a new, brutal reality. The reason for the crime soon became clear: revenge. But this was not just any act of retaliation. It was a calculated move, designed to send a chilling message to everyone in the neighborhood and beyond. Police said one girl had stolen drugs from a powerful dealer in Via 111-14, one of Buenos Aires' most notorious and dangerous slums, where the drug trade rules daily life and fear is a constant companion. In the drug world, even a small act of going against them demands a brutal punishment. The rules are simple. Betrayal, no matter how minor, is met with violence. The killings were a public warning. This is what happens to those who cross us. The message was painted in blood, meant to terrify anyone who might even think of defying the gang's authority. Journalist Germán de los Santos pointed out the change. Drug gangs now targeted weak people to show their power. No longer were only rivals or informants at risk. Now, anyone could be a target. By killing not just the person who supposedly stole from them but her friends too, the message was made even stronger. No one is safe. The violence was meant to paralyze the community with fear. The choice of victims, young women who worked hard, was a plan, showing a complete lack of care for any rules. Their innocence made the crime even more shocking, and the community's sense of security was shattered. The investigation quickly focused on the group responsible, led by a man known for his cruel control. He ruled through fear, and his orders were carried out without question. The theft, though small, was a crack in their power. It was a challenge to their authority, and they responded with overwhelming force to crush any sign of weakness. The response was quick and unforgettable. The entire neighborhood was left in shock, and the fear spread far beyond the slum's borders. Brenda, Mariana, and Laura paid the price for a message written in blood. Their loss became a symbol of the terror that grips communities caught in the crossfire of drug violence. The horror became even deeper with reports that the crime was shown live on a private Instagram group. The idea that dozens watched in real time added a sickening layer of being involved. Violence had become a show, broadcast to scare and entertain. The supposed live stream caused anger and fear, even as Meta said they found no proof. Whether true or just a rumor, the possibility alone was enough to shock the country. Police arrested 4 suspects, 2 men, 2 women, believed to be important players. 2 were supposedly hired to clean up the crime scene. These arrests offered a small bit of hope for justice, but the case only seemed to get darker with each new discovery. Argentina was left reeling, desperate for answers. The murders caused a wave of sadness and anger across Argentina. The crime broke the idea of safety, bringing drug violence right to the country's doorstep. Streets filled with protesters, family members, friends, and activists demanding justice. Ni una menos, not one woman less, became the main cry. The family's pain became a symbol of national loss. Brenda's mother, standing in front of cameras, demanded change. Her sadness touched millions, bringing the country together in sorrow and determination. The reaction spread from the streets to the government and churches. the Catholic Church in San Justo warned of a culture of destruction growing when the government was not there. The church's alarm showed the growing despair. This was not just one crime but a sign of a deeper sickness. Argentina was mourning and demanding answers. To understand this tragedy, look at the place where it grew. Activists and journalists warned for years. Growing poverty and a government that pulled back left communities open to danger. Under President Milei, big cuts to social programs created an empty space that drug gangs filled. In the poor areas, drug dealers offered money, jobs, and a feeling of belonging, where the government offered nothing. The drug gangs became the real power, hiring the desperate and young. The Catholic Church's warning was true. When the government is not there, destruction follows. Cuts meant to make the economy stable took away safety nets, leaving young people exposed. The September killings were the sad result of this trend. The drug dealers felt they couldn't be touched, showing their crimes as a display of power. This was more than a story about drugs, it was about a broken agreement between the people and the government. The most vulnerable were left to face terrible dangers alone. The live-stream murders shocked the world, making headlines from The Guardian to CNN. The crime's brutality and its digital twist became a global warning. Experts said this was not a rare event, but a sign of organized crime spreading into new places. As drug cartels move their operations, they bring extreme violence and use shocking displays as a business tactic. The supposed live stream was compared to extremist propaganda, making the terror even bigger. Showing violence serves to scare rivals, make people more loyal, and make people not care about violence. Argentina, long seen as a safe place, was now in the global spotlight. International attention put pressure on the government to act. The problem was no longer just Argentina's. It was a global challenge. The world was on notice. Drug violence had entered the digital age. In the middle of the darkness, the search for justice brought Argentina together. The first arrests were a small but important step. The prosecutor promised to break down the entire group behind the crime. The tragedy forced everyone to think about poverty, unfairness, and the government's neglect. Communities organized, demanding that social programs be brought back and neighborhoods be safe. Murals of the three young women turned them into symbols of hope and resistance. Their names were heard at every protest, a reminder of the human cost. The story changed how Argentinians saw themselves and the dangers in their society. Out of sadness, a small hope for change was born. The fight ahead would be long, but the demand for justice was unstoppable. The memory of Brenda, Morena, and Lara became a nation's call to take back its future.